If you're an author or plan to be one, get excited because this podcast is for you. Book Marketing Mentors is the only podcast dedicated to helping you successfully market and sell your book. If you're ready for empowering conversations with successful marketing mavens, then grab a coffee or tea and listen in to your host, international best-selling author Susan Friedman.
Before I introduce you to today's guest expert, I have some exciting news to share. At long last, the Book Marketing Mentors Premium membership is a reality. This is a brand new membership site that's going to give you even more tips, techniques, and insider secrets from the experts. When you become a premium member, you're going to enjoy even more valuable ways to use your book to make money and thrive as a trusted expert authority in your field. As a premium subscriber, you'll get exclusive access to even more of my book and author marketing proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips to help you market and sell more books. You'll get monthly exclusive deep dive discussions with some of the best guests I interview on the Book Marketing Mentors podcast. And then finally, how would you like me to interview you? Every month, I'll feature an interview with a nonfiction author, and you've got an opportunity to be chosen as one of those guests. Check the show notes for a link and join the Book Marketing Mentors Premium membership today so that you can also take advantage of the special introductory price. Now, let's get on with the show so that you can meet this week's guest expert and mentor. Welcome to Book Marketing Mentors, the weekly podcast where you learn proven strategies, tools, ideas, and tips from the masters. Every week, I introduce you to a marketing master who will share their expertise to help you market and sell more books. Today, my special guest is an intuitive, an abundance coach, an author, and an inspirational speaker. Julie Goetzinger helps high-achieving entrepreneurs adopt an abundant mindset so you can work less, play more, and make more money without sacrificing your time or freedom. As an intuitive, Julie has an amazing gift to see things that stand in your own way from reaching your goals and getting to the next level of success. And what she does is that she helps you release those during her intuitive coaching sessions. She's the creator of the Abundance Breakthrough and Free to Fly programs. She's a speaker colleague and a friend. So, Julie, what an absolute pleasure it is to welcome you to the show. And thank you for being this week's guest expert and mentor.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, Julie, it is such a pleasure to have you here. I'm just really, really excited. And I'm really excited to talk about those money blocks because whether we like it or not, somehow I believe that we have them without possibly even knowing about them. That can stand in the way of us selling books, selling ourselves, just being out there in the marketplace and feeling good about who we are and what we actually ask for our services in payment. So let's start off and dig down into that and see where we go with it.
Sounds great.
Talk to us more about those blocks and what are some of the things that do stand in our way?
Some of the biggest blocks that my clients have faced that I see again and again is these beliefs that it's lonely at the top. Sometimes they fear that when they become wealthy, their friends that they once hung out with will no longer want to be around them. Maybe they'll fear the jealousy that could come when we grow in wealth. They might feel that their family members think, who are you to be so wealthy? You know, I worked hard my whole life and didn't reach that kind of wealth. And here you are doing something that looks fun and easy to do and receiving great money for it. They also fear that they're not who they say they are. They fear being that imposter, you know, who would listen to me, who would believe me when I don't really believe these things about myself yet. Others see us a certain way, and they see us as leaders and guides and teachers. And sometimes we still don't see ourselves as that. And that can hold us back from opening up to receive abundance in all forms.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that you say that, because that is very much something that when I do my virtual retreat, my author to authority retreat, and I know you in your retreat too, talk about that mindset of actually, how do you feel about yourself? Am I good enough? Am I really that expert, or do I really have that expertise that people see in me, but maybe I don't always see in myself, that imposter syndrome? How do you talk to people about that, Julie?
The way we see ourselves is everything. And people can validate us all day long and say, you're so good at what you do. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're talented. And until we really believe it ourselves, we're not going to grow. We're not going to allow people to compensate us for our gifts. We'll think, oh, it's easy for me to do. I shouldn't charge so much money for that. It's easy. It was a quick, easy thing for me to do. Why should I charge a lot of money for that? It's really about looking at the value behind it and seeing money as just a form of exchange. It's just an agreement. I agree to do this service for you, or to deliver this book to you, to educate you, to inspire you. And in return, you pay me for that. It's an agreement. And it's about taking away the emotional attachment to the money and releasing the stories behind what it means, what it says about us and our value and our worth. And to realize it's just a form of exchange. It's just, I agree to give you this, you give me this. Thank you very much. Be on our way. The more that we open ourselves up to express who we really are, the more people are going to want to compensate that and give you that gratitude in the form of money.
That is so powerful. That whole idea of the value that you give people. And that ties in so well, because I talk about, with my authors, the fact that it's not about the book. It's not about selling books. It's about selling your value and your message. And so that here you're saying is, hey, I'm giving you value. You want that value. It means something. So therefore, let's do this exchange. I'll give you what you need in exchange for money.
Yes.
It used to be we would barter stuff. Well, nowadays we do it with money. Some people still barter, I know a lot, but yeah, that whole aspect of money. Something you also said earlier about it's so easy for us sometimes to do things that we don't realize the value that it has for somebody else who doesn't necessarily see it as easy as you do or I do about the things that we teach. How about that limiting belief? All these things are obviously limiting beliefs, but how do you actually help people overcome them and start believing in themselves in the way that, I'm not going to use the word should, but it's most helpful for us to be?
Yes, that's such a great question. So it's really about getting beneath the surface and going deeper, digging deeper, going backwards in time and thinking, when did I first not feel good enough? When did I first feel like I had nothing to say, that I should be quiet, that I should hide? When did I first feel these feelings? And going back to that time, I actually guide my clients in meditations and healing sessions. I'm intuitively guided during these sessions, and it's dependent on the individual who's with me at the time as to where we go, what method we use. We do timeline jumping, we do past life regression healing. We go backwards and we look, when did this wound originate? We actually rewrite the past by visiting this part of their lives and then coming in as the adult version of you to interfere and come in and be that protector for that little girl. I just did this work the other day with my client. She was at a book fair as a child. She was about 6 years old at the time. her mom gave her money to buy a new book each day during the book fair. She thought that would be fun for her to do. Each day, pick out a new book. The third day that this little girl went to pick out a book, the mother who was volunteering said, there are some children who had to scrape up their pennies to get books. And here you are every day buying a book. That's too much. She remembered that. And she started thinking, it's wrong to have money. It's wrong to buy things. It's wrong to want things. She started to feel shame around money at that age as a little girl. What we did was we went back to that time. We did a meditation to get her back there. And then we had her adult self come in and stand up for that little girl and say, this is not wrong. This is abundance. There is an abundance of books. There is an abundance of money. We talked to that little girl, and we also confronted the woman and talked to her and asked her what happened to her that made her think it was okay to speak to a little girl that way. So she came in to heal her little girl as her adult version, and then came back into this current time and was really rewriting the past, rewriting the history, and seeing that it is not wrong to want more. It is not wrong to buy more books. It is not wrong to have money. When she empowered herself to change that story and to go back and rewrite the history, now she can go forward and teach others that abundance is beautiful. By me having more does not take away from you.
Yeah, I think sometimes we feel guilty. And I think you alluded to that earlier on by saying we're guilty because we have it maybe and others don't, and we stand in our own way. I know that I remember way back seeing some of my speaker colleagues having such dreadful marriages because they were on the road the whole time. They were road warriors doing 200 gigs a year. And then they were very successful in their speaking life, but then they came home and their family life went to pot. I thought, I don't want that. So I know that one of my stories was holding myself back from being successful for fear that that would ruin my, marriage and my family life. So yes, going back and looking at those stories that we concoct for ourselves, and we don't even realize that they're stories because we believe it to be true.
Yeah, can I speak to that as well? So
You may, absolutely.
I love that example. And what I will say is that we like to be right. If we believe that by being a busy speaker, by being on the road a lot, it will be to the detriment of our marriage, we will look for evidence that that is true. We will surround ourselves with others who are playing out that story so that we can say, see, that's why I don't pursue speaking, because that will happen to me. It's a way to hold ourselves back by looking for examples as to why it won't work, why we can't do that. I invite you to consider that that doesn't have to be the way. What if you decide to bring your family with you? If you have children, if you decide to homeschool on the road? What if your partner likes to have their alone time and you actually thrive in your independent states? There's lots of different ways this can work out, but it's really being aware of, is this even true? Or am I just looking to prove this as true so that I can stay small, so that I don't need to pursue that dream that I've always had in my heart?
Yeah, and it is a dream. And then we have these dreams, and then that not being good enough, or, oh, that's just so pie in the sky, or even somebody saying that to us that, yes, oh, you want to reach for the stars? That's great. And you don't get that support. I think that's also helpful, is having that support system. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes. Who we surround ourselves with is everything. What I do is I like to surround myself with people who are like me, growing in all different directions and wanting more and not feeling shame around wanting more, around wanting to be more, to have more love, money, success, more time, and surrounding myself with others who also believe that that's possible, and not the naysayers who say, you can't work less and make more money. That's ridiculous. Because the more you surround yourself with those people who will say why it's not going to work, you're going to question yourself and say, oh, maybe I am ridiculous. That is a ridiculous goal that I would be a millionaire. Who am I to say that? That's ridiculous. Who we surround ourselves with is everything. That's why it's important to be in groups with people who are thriving.
Yeah, and you and I are in a group like that, as we know, and that's how we've built our relationship and our friendship. And how about if those are family members who are the naysayers in your life? How do you handle them?
It's really coming from a place of compassion for them and knowing that they do the best they can with what they know. They may have that story, that belief that it's not possible to be a millionaire. It's not possible to sell 1,000,000 books or whatever your goal is. So they're speaking what they believe is possible for themselves. And it's kind of a feeling of, how dare you disprove me? And, that's when they can get kind of question you when you share your goals. So, what I say to my clients is to be very discerning on who you share your goals with. I don't share my professional goals with my family because I have heard that's ridiculous. You're a medium? What? You can't make money by being a medium. That's not even real. And so I've learned not to share that part of my life with my family. For that very reason, I share that with my colleagues and my clients and people who want to take advantage of those gifts, people that respect them. That's who I share my dreams with. But it's the family, it's just realizing that they're doing the best they can with what they know. What they say has very little to do with you. And it's really about what they think is possible for themselves. Just be careful what you share.
Be careful what you share. Absolutely. Because you don't want to upset them. Because, remember growing up, my mother grew up in the Depression, in wartime. It was always, well, money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think? You can't always have everything you want. Having that, almost like it's a brainwashing that you think, oh yeah, money doesn't grow on trees, or money's evil or dirty, or all these things that you hear growing up, which, it just makes me when I just even say that.
Yeah, that's an exercise to do with my clients is I have them write down all the things they've heard about money from their caregivers and their teachers growing up. We make a big list and then we go through each one and we say, is that even true? Is this true? We look for examples as to why that's not true. Money does grow on trees. Money is made of paper. It's kind of funny because that actually is true. We understand that our loved ones are well-meaning. They want to protect us. They want to keep us safe. That was their reality. They did grow up during the Depression. That was the way that they survived. So it makes sense that they're coming from that place of love and saying those things. It's not to hurt us or to hold us back. That's really what they believe to be true. But it's about, just looking deeper within yourself and asking, is this true for me? Or is this still true? If not, what new money story can I rewrite that is more empowering for me for the life that I desire?
I love that. So rewriting your money story. Ooh, love that one. Julie, one of the things, an important aspect of who you are and your gifts is that you're an intuitive, a medium. You also say that it's possible to teach people to be intuitive. How do you do that?
Well, we all have our intuition that lives in our heart center, and it really is connecting to that part of you that is divine. It's getting quiet, giving yourself that time to lay down, close your eyes, and to have that silent time. Some call it meditation or prayer, whatever you call it. It's just about quieting your body, your mind, your soul, getting really quiet and listening to that inner voice. When you ask your inner voice what you are meant to know, when you start to develop a relationship with her, then you will hear that guidance more. It's really developing that relationship, strengthening that muscle. It's a practice that we all can do. We all are intuitive. It's just a matter of how much we practice it. I practice it professionally. I practice it every day for myself and my clients. And just like working out at the gym, if you practice lifting weights, you're going to develop those muscles in a stronger way and it's going to become easier to you. To me, it's just something that is second nature because I do it all day, every day. it is easier for me to practice on others because I don't have the same resistance that they have. We all have resistance to things in our lives because our egos want to keep us where we are. We fear the change, the unknown. We'd rather just stay where we are, even when the intuition says, nope, it's time to leave that relationship. It's time to switch careers, or it's time to travel. We would rather stay where we are. So we have this inner battle that goes back and forth. I don't have that for other people. So I'm able to see and tell them what I'm receiving for them in a way that they're open and ready to receive as well. And I also seek other intuitives for guidance. I tap in for myself, but I have multiple healers and intuitives that I consult regularly as well because I have my own resistance too.
Don't we all? You mentioned a 3-letter word, ego, that can cause so much damage in our lives that, it's just that small little word. And I've heard it say it stands for edging God out. So whatever it stands for, it gets in our way. How do we overcome that between the ego and then something that comes into my mind, the monkey brain, the monkey that jumping around from one end of the brain to the other, and it's difficult to stay focused. And between those two, how do we deal with those?
Rather than thinking about it as something to overcome, I'm going to silence my ego, I'm going to ignore my ego. It's about looking at that part of you and asking it what it would like you to know. It's, again, making friends with it, making friends with that part of yourself, and knowing that it also comes from a place of love. It wants you to be safe. It does not want you to be rejected or hurt. It's like, no, let's just stay here. We're okay. We're good. We've got enough. We're good. Because it fears being hurt. It fears the pain. It fears the possible heartbreak or letdown. It's warning us. And what it is you, your higher self, having a conversation with it and just asking it what it would like you to know, hearing it out. Thank you for sharing, but I'm going to do this. Knowing that your higher self is in charge, your soul knows what it's here to do. And when we have the courage to take those steps, everything is going to work out and be even greater than we can imagine. So it really is about making friends with it and not denying it or shunning it or shaming it, but just noticing it, accepting it, and eventually loving it as part that just wants to protect you.
There's something you alluded to there, that it's going to work out and it may not be in the way that you expect. Talk to us more about that.
Yes. It's really about getting into a place of curiosity and just saying, I wonder what it would be like if, I wonder, and feeling into how good can things get? How good can things feel? Where could I go? What could I do? Who could I work with? Who might I meet? Coming from that place of childlike curiosity, like, I wonder about this. And whatever we request to say, this or something better, because there's always more. There's always something that the divine has in store for us that we can't even fathom. It is so much bigger, so much greater than we can even imagine. And when we put limitations on ourselves and say, I want this much money each month, I want this, the divine says, okay, it's going to be even bigger. It's going to be even better. If you're open to it, if you allow it, if you say it's not, then it's not. We get what we expect. If you expect something to go well, it will. If you expect something to not go well, you're worried, you're projecting that energy into it and right away helping to determine a negative outcome. So it's being really aware of your thoughts, what you're thinking about, how you're feeling. You know you're off from your truth when it doesn't feel right, when you start to beat yourself up, when you start to say, no one's going to come. No one cares. No one sees me. No one hears me. You're bringing that energy to yourself and creating that outcome. When you realize that, when you catch that, you look deeper and you say, what is this really about? Let's get curious here. When did I first start feeling like no one was going to come, like I wasn't good enough? Going back, doing that inner work. That's why coaches are great, because this is hard work to do on our own. Having a guide, someone who can guide you through this journey, is very helpful. That's why I am never without a coach myself.
That's a great segue, Julie, into talking about how you work and how our listeners could potentially use you as a guide, as a coach, as an abundance coach, which is even more important because I know that so many of them want to bring abundance into their lives. Tell us how they can do that.
What I do is I host abundance breakthrough retreats. And what we do is we come together either virtually or in person. We do them once per quarter. They are very much guided by who comes, the energy in the room. As an intuitive, I feel into where do we need to go here. And it is creating that space for everyone to be seen and heard, very deeply loved and accepted, and have a place where they feel safe to share. People get very open, honest, vulnerable almost immediately because I hold that space. And that is one of my strengths, is that ability to create a loving space of acceptance where people feel like they can share things they've never shared before. Once we speak, we heal. I always say speaking is healing, shedding some light to that, not shaming yourself for what happened to you. And sometimes things get uncovered that people didn't even consciously remember. And they hear someone else share and they feel it in their body and they realize, oh, wow, that's my story too. That happened to me too. When that happens, it's deeply bonding and it's also deeply healing. And when we do the healing work, when we do the inner work, that's when we clear the space for the abundance to arrive. That's when the new clients come in. That's when the money comes in. That's when the loving connections come in. Once we do that work for ourselves first and deeply love ourselves, that's when that all comes in. And we continue the work in my Free to Fly program because you're not going to transform every area of your life in 3 days. We will get started and we'll open the door. We'll turn that light on, but it's a continuous process. And that's what we do in my Free to Fly program. We continually meet as a community, as a group, where we can continue to grow and heal every area of our lives, our business, our personal lives. We always say there's nothing off the table. Everything is intertwined. We do guidance around personal relationships with your family, your loved one. We've talked about dating in there. We've talked about all kinds of things and help each other through life's ups and downs and know that you have a loving, safe community to do it in.
Oh, that's so lovely. It's so attractive too, because it's not only about our business, because as solopreneurs, it's us, it's who we are. And we've got another life, hopefully, outside of our business, our personal life and social life. And that also has different aspects and stories that we've attached to it. So listeners, that sounds like an amazing program. Julie, if you were to leave our listeners with a golden nugget, what would that be?
Trust yourself. You know when something's for you. When you hear that, yes, know that that is for you. And trust that it's going to open up to something even bigger and better than you can imagine.
I love that and that really speaks to me, because I know anytime I listen to those voices, that says, okay, trust and believe, trust and believe. Those are my two. That's my mantra, trust and believe. I've got a beautiful sign too up on my wall that says, believe all things are possible if you believe.
Yes. Love it.
Julie, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. It was magical, as I knew it would be. And thank you all for taking time out of your precious day to listen to this interview. And I sincerely hope that it sparks some ideas you can use to sell more books. Here's wishing you much book and author and abundance marketing success.
The time is now to take action and finally build your book-selling empire. And the great news is that Susan is here to help you. Visit bookmarketingmentors.com and sign up for a free 15-minute book marketing strategy session with Susan. She'll help you discover your first steps to marketing and selling your book. Only those who take action are rewarded, so visit bookmarketingmentors.com, and we'll see you again next week.